Willow, have you spoken with Lila while in the hospital? Kids informs Alexis and Liz that Scout left after hearing about Drew from a friend. Charlotte arrives fresh from Lila's kids and comes across Lulu in the hallways. Charlotte did something that she does not want her mother to be upset about. Lulu and Charlotte approach Liz, Alexis, and Willow to inform them that Scout is safe. Charlotte explains that Scout wanted to be with her family after hearing about her father, so she drove her to the QS. Scout is located in Alexis. Molly finally answers a call from Cody, who has been calling her non-stop, asking what's wrong. Molly soon arrives at the Quartermain stables, where she finds Scout and Cody and hugs her niece. Scout explains that she had Charlotte bring her here because she heard her father had been hurt. Molly explains he is in the hospital and they are taking care of him. Molly calls her mother, who says I'll be right there. Alexis gives Willow the information, and they leave the hospital together. Back at the hospital, Charlotte informs her mother that she is not sorry for what she did, because she understands how it feels to be away from your family and afraid. Lulu believes her daughter needs to learn that there are consequences to her actions, and that she must consider more than her emotions when making major decisions like this. Does Lulu know who they are? They've been separated several times due to circumstances, and they're still figuring out how to be mother and daughter. Isn't Lulu? I am not trying to smother her, but she is. He's a teen who needs boundaries. She has her entire family to rely on and no longer has to make major decisions on her own. Scout tells her Aunt Molly that she came to the stables because Danny likes horses and she can go to the main house. Does she? I don't understand why Danny does. Don't want to see her anymore. Scout speaks with Molly GH, who tries to explain that her father had restraining orders issued against people like Danny so they could. I can't see her. Doesn't Scout? I can't understand why her father would do that. Molly claims her father only wants the best for her, but Scout exclaims, what? That? It's not true anymore. What if he did? Would you let me see Grandma, Aunt Chrissy, Grandma Monica, and you? Alexis and Willow arrive, and Scout embraces her grandmother. Scout inquires as to whether she can see her father, but Alexis responds that she cannot as of yet. Going to stay with Willow for the time being. The girl wants to stay with her grandmother, but Alexis says she can. But what about them? We'll video chat every day. Later when it's just Cody and Molly, and she thanks him for calling her. She says he was fantastic with Scout and saved the day. Cody wonders if she'll answer the phone if he calls her again in the future. How do I explain Rick's absence? Back to Alexis? Does Ava arrive with Rick's phone and shows Christina the number of missed calls and texts he has. They must figure out how to deal with this. Christina suggests they have her mother draft legal notes to send to his clients and staff, stating that he is taking time off, leaving his personal life to them. Christina gains access to Rick's phone by drugging him again, and using his fingerprint to unlock it. She then changes all of his passwords to 666. They start making up a story, claiming Rick has gone on a digital detox at an exclusive retreat. Alexis soon returns and updates Christina on Scout. She also mentions Molly attempting to contact Rick, prompting Ava and Christina to explain their scenario. Christina read a draft of the email Rick has written to Molly, asking her mother to edit. Who are the primary suspects in Drew's shooting? In Anna? In her office, Chase and Dante discuss the suspects who could have shot Drew. Are Nina, Michael, Willow, and Alexis Anna the main suspects? They ran down Drew's timelines, whereabouts up until his shooting, taking into account the rainstorm, to narrow it down to about a 40-minute window during which he was shot. Sonny's name is mentioned, but they come to the conclusion that it does not. Jason, do you feel like a professional hit? I'm also out of the country. Anna asks for more ideas. Chase throws Curtis out. Dante mentions Tracy, who was found at the scene of the crime. Chase believes Tracy. What is your story about being there on Monica's behalf, and notes that they still don't have a gun, and Tracy was the one who called 911. Anna says that while she doesn't, Tracy may have done this to cover for the person who shot Drew. In his office, Jack yells at someone on the phone to get in and get their agents out, as they could be dead already. Jack takes another call and tells the person to keep the pressure on Colette. And then what? I will try a different angle. Jack requests to speak with Valentine via video. Jack wants to make a deal, so he shows him a photo of Colette and asks who she is. Jack offers him time outside with a guard as an incentive to reveal what he knows, claiming that Colette took it upon herself to fire at him in Prague. Valentine reveals that when he met her, she was a double agent who worked for Vaughn. Jack mentions Vaughn's death, but Valentine claims his organization lives on, so does he? Jack is not about to reveal who is in charge without further concessions. Valentine wishes to be transferred to an American prison. Can Jack? He cannot give him that, but he can assist him in other ways. Who will survive the 5 Poppy Challenge? Pascal tells Joss and Vaughn at the 5 Poppies that they will be Professor Dalton's test subjects for cold fusion, specifically to see if they can keep radiation leaks to acceptable levels around humans. A guard interrupts and informs Pascal that Hector's body has been discovered, but John Moore is still missing. Pascal departs, leaving guards in charge of the prisoners. One of the other guards flees, and Vaughn and Joss attempt to intimidate the lone guard by implying that the WSB must be present and offering him a deal. If he lets them out, they will let him go. Unfortunately, the other guard returns and orders his co-worker not to speak to the prisoners. He claims Pascal has things under control. Meanwhile, Jason intrudes on Britt's lab and she is overjoyed that he has returned. Unfortunately, Pascal has attached an ankle monitor to her, which will explode if she leaves the lab. Jason has previously defused explosives and promises to get Britt out of here. She complains that Pascal has gone off the deep end and should be answering to her. However, her discovery of Joss and another guy tied up pushed Pascal too far. Jason is astounded to learn that Joss is present and in trouble. Britt explains that Joss is here with a fictitious husband, and that they are WSB. When did this happen? Jason asks where Joss is now, but Britt does not. I do not know. They may have been relocated, but she tells him they were previously in a nearby room and hands him the keycard. Jason takes off, but not before promising to return. Pascal soon returns to the lab to inform Britt that the site has been compromised, and that they will be moving to a new location. However, she will not accompany them. Jason bursts into the room where the guards are holding Vaughn and Joss and fights them. A guard drops a knife which Vaughn grabs. In the show's final moments at the hospital, Lulu tells Charlotte will you drive her back to Lila's children, so she can tell Mrs. Larson what she did. She was also grounded for a month and lost her driving privileges. Does Charlotte feel it? It's worth it to help Scout. In the stable, Molly informs Cody. Is it best if he doesn't? Call her after everything they did? I've been through with Christina and Ava. She says if he lands in an emergency he can call, but otherwise it's goodbye. She walks out. At Alexis? Christina's lawyer approves of her. A letter to Molly. Willow, on the other hand, will be pressuring Rick to move her visitation hearing forward. Ava has an idea for killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At the PCPD, Anna informs Dante and Chase that they must bring Michael and Alexis in to find out where they were last night. Liz then calls Anna and says Drew is waking up. In his office, Jack informs Valentine. I'll make sure he gets to see Charlotte in person. If he can do that, as Valentine claims, then what? I will give Jack a name. At the compound, Jason struggles with the guards while Vaughn uses the knife to free himself and Joss. Finally, Pascal admits to Britt that has she convinced the boss? Is in more trouble than she's worth, so he's programmed her ankle monitor to blow her up within an hour. General Hospital spoilers indicate that a preview clip has been released for Tuesday, September 9, 2025. It shows Britt Westbourne striking a deal. Jacinda is back to collect. Additionally, Jack Brennan threatens Lulu Spencer. Continue reading and let's talk about what's coming up in the ABC soap opera. Drew Kane is awake and alive, but what about? I can't remember too much. Or so he claims. Drew was shot in the back, and I wonder if he remembers more than he claims. In any case, the man informs someone, most likely Anna Devane, that he does? I don't remember much. What about Alexis Davis? Interrogation with Alexis Davis is over. She refused to answer Dante Falconere's questions. However, she agreed to visit the police station with Diane Miller. In a preview clip, Alexis informs a stunned Anna that she is happy to answer any questions she has about Drew's shooting. Meanwhile, Michael Corinthos asks Curtis Ashford for help. The man informs Curtis that he knows how to find her, referring to Jacinda. Speaking of Jacinda, she has arrived to collect additional funds from Portia Robinson and Nina Reeves. Lulu Spencer threatened General Hospital. Spoilers for Tuesday, September 9th reveal that the preview clip also depicts Lulu fighting Jack. Lulu appears to break big news while also facing a significant threat. In a preview clip for today, in this episode, Lulu asks the WSB boss if it's a threat. Is that what the man is saying? This is a warning. Five Poppies drama over at the Five Poppies Resort in Croatia. Jason Morgan attempts to save Britt Westbourne. The brunette is still wearing an ankle monitor, but it now comes with an added danger. Pascal informed Britt that her ankle monitor will detonate in 1 hour. Doesn't that? It won't take Jason long to save Britt. Britt will most likely make a surprise return to Port Charles this week. However, how will people react when they learn that Britt has been alive all along? Meanwhile, there's Vaughn and Jocelyn Jacks. The man says that if he goes down, Joss must keep going. However, what about her feelings for Vaughn? I'm not sure she'll be able to do that, so stay tuned. Which storyline are you most excited to see on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. Keep watching ABC soap operas to find out what happens next. The warehouse loomed ahead, casting a hulking shadow on the stormy sky. The rusted metal walls groaned in the wind, and a single light bulb flickered through a cracked window. Jason slowed his pace, instinctively reaching for the gun tucked into his waistband. Wasn't he? I'm not one to hesitate, but something about this felt wrong. It's too easy. Too quiet. Who took Jocelyn? We're not amateurs. They were calculating and ruthless, and they knew exactly who they were dealing with. Wasn't this? Was it just a kidnapping? It was a trap. Inside, the air was thick with the odor of damp concrete and oil. The warehouse was a maze of crates and machinery, remnants of a shipping industry that had passed its peak. Jason moved silently, his gaze scanning the shadows for any signs of movement. He heard a muffled but unmistakable sob coming from the far end of the building. Jocelyn. His pulse quickened, but he forced himself to remain calm. Rushing in blindly would kill them both. He moved closer, his senses on high alert. The sob returned, this time louder, and he turned a corner to see her. Jocelyn was tied to a chair, her blonde hair matted against her tear-stained face. Her wrists were bound with thick rope, and a gag was inserted into her mouth. She saw him, and her eyes widened with relief and terror. Jason raised a finger to his lips, signaling her to remain quiet. He looked around the room for guards, but it was empty. Too empty. That? When did he hear it? A low, deliberate chuckle emanated from the darkness. A figure entered the dim light, and was it Jason? Her blood ran cold. Victor Cassadine. The man was a ghost, a specter of chaos who? I'd been pulling strings in Port Charles for many years. Despite the grime of the warehouse, his tailored suit remained spotless, and his smile was sharp enough to cut glass. Jason Morgan, Victor said, his voice full of mock warmth. Always the hero rushing in to save the day. Predictable but admirable. Jason wasn't. Don't respond. He tightened his grip on the gun, but kept it by his side. Wasn't Victor? Are you alone? He never was. Sure enough, two armed men appeared from the shadows, their weapons trained on Jason. Drop it, Victor said, his tone casual yet commanding. Jason hesitated, his gaze shifting to Jocelyn. She shook her head, her muffled cries urging him to fight. But he knew better. He let the gun fall to the floor, making a dull clank. Good choice, Victor said, taking a step closer. You see, Jason, this isn't about you. Or even poor little Jocelyn here. This is about leverage. You've been a thorn in my side for too long, and I am tired of playing nice. Jason's reaction, his jaw clenched. Let her go, Victor. This is between you and me. Victor laughed, a cold, hollow sound. Oh, it's much bigger than that. You think I went to all this trouble just to have a chat? No. I have plans, Jason. Big plans. And you're going to help me whether you like it or not. Across town, the clock was ticking for someone else. What happened to the numbers? She didn't lie, but she wished they would. Huntington's disease. Her diagnosis amounted to a slow and cruel death sentence. Had you known something was wrong for months? Tremors, memory lapses, and moments when her body did not respond? T feel like her own. However, seeing it in black and white made it real. Too real. She pushed the papers aside and stood there, pacing the small room. Wasn't she? I am not prepared for this. Not now when her life was beginning to make sense. I'd worked so hard to establish myself in Port Charles as something more than the daughter of a madman or the sister of a psychopath. Have you built a career and found love? How complicated was it with Nicholas? And now everything was slipping away. Time was up and she hadn't? I haven't even had a chance to say goodbye. Her phone vibrated, jolting her out of her reverie. Nicholas texted. Meet me at the pier. Urgent. She frowned. Nicholas wasn't. I'm not fond of cryptic messages and the timing seemed off. But she grabbed her coat and went outside, her mind racing. Perhaps I'd found a way to help her. Perhaps there was a treatment, a trial, or something to give her more time. She clung to hope, despite a small voice in the back of her mind whispering that hope was a luxury she could no longer afford. The pier was deserted when she arrived, as the storm had kept most people indoors. Nicholas waited for her, the rain causing his dark hair to stick to his face. He appeared tense, his eyes scanning the surroundings as if he expected trouble. He said, Britt, with a low voice. We need to talk. About what? She inquired, drawing her coat tighter against the wind. Nick, I am not in the mood for games. I got the results today. S. Huntington. S. I have much time. I know. He cut her off, his expression unreadable. That is why I am here. Her stomach dropped. His tone conveyed something cold and final. What's going on, Nicholas? He stepped closer, his gaze fixed on hers. I made a deal to save you, Britt. She froze. A deal? With who? Nicholas paused, and that silence told her everything she needed to know. Victor, he finally said, the name pronounced as a curse. He has a way to help you. A treatment. But it comes at a price. Britt's answer, her heart sank. Victor Cassadine didn't make deals out of kindness. Whatever Nicholas agreed to would cost them both more than they could afford. What did you do? She asked in a whisper. I did what I had to, Nicholas admitted, his voice breaking. I can't lose you, Britt. Not now. Not ever. She wanted to scream, telling him he was a fool for believing Victor. But the words stuck in her throat. She was desperate too. Desperate for a chance to survive, fight, and have a future. And her desperation made her equally guilty as Nicholas. Back at the warehouse, Jason was running out of options. Victor? His men had bound his hands and Jocelyn remained tied to the chair, her eyes wide with fear. Victor paced in front of them, his hands clasped behind his back, like a general addressing his soldiers. Here's how this is going to work, he told me. You're going to do a job for me, Jason. A simple one, really. There's a shipment coming into Port Charles tomorrow night. I need it to disappear. No questions, no complications. And if I refuse? Jason asked, his voice steady despite the situation. Victor paused pacing and turned to face him, his smile gone. Then Jocelyn dies. And not quickly. Does she? A muffled sob broke the silence. And what about Jason? Her hands clenched into fists. I've faced worse odds and taken on enemies more dangerous than Victor. But this was different. Wasn't this? Just about him. Was it about Jocelyn, Carly, or everyone? I have sworn to protect. Victor knew it. You think you're untouchable, Jason said, his voice low and dangerous. You're not. Victor? Her smile returned, colder than before. Maybe not. But I am the one holding the cards tonight. So what? Is it going to be, Jason? Will you play the hero? Or will you play the smart man? Jason didn't answer. Do not respond right away. His mind was racing, calculating every possible action. He could take out the guards and possibly even get to Victor, but not before they injured Jocelyn. He could agree to the terms and buy time, but would that mean playing Victor's game and Victor's games have always had a body count. There was no clear path out of this, no perfect solution. But I would be damned if he let Victor win. Fine, Jason said, the word bitter in his mouth. I'll do it. Victor clapped his hands together with delight. Excellent. I knew you. DC reason. My men will give you the details. Oh, and Jason, Dawn. Try anything clever. Hate for something to happen to Jocelyn. The guards freed Jason's tie's hands and he moved to Jocelyn, removing the gag from her mouth and severing the ropes around her wrists. She wrapped her arms around him, trembling. I am sorry, she said quietly. I didn't mean for this to happen. It's not your fault, Jason said, his voice firm. We're getting out of this. I promise. But even as he said it, he knew it wouldn't. Cannot be that simple. Wasn't Victor? We're not done with them by a long shot. And across town, Britt and Nicholas were about to learn the same thing. The devil always gets his just due. And in Port Charles, the price was always higher than anyone expected. As Jason led Jocelyn out of the warehouse, the storm raged on, washing away the blood and the night's promise. But the danger wasn't over. Victor's plan was in motion and Jason, Britt, and Nicholas were all caught in it. Time was running out and the next decisions they made would determine whether would you survive? Or become another casualty in Victor. This is a game. The tension inside the hospital had been building for days, and Britt could feel the weight of her decisions pressing down on her shoulders. The agreement she made with Jacinda was risky, borderline reckless, but it was the only way she could obtain the information she required without exposing herself. The corridors of General Hospital were alive with quiet rumors, whispers echoing down the halls, but Britt knew better than anyone that information came at a cost. And Jacinda? The price was never cheap. Jacinda had made it clear from the beginning that this wasn't charity. She was astute, calculating, and always 2 steps ahead. Britt had agreed to give her access to classified patient files in exchange for one piece of information. The one secret Jacinda promised would change the entire balance of power between Brennan and Lulu. Britt didn't want to get involved in their personal war, but she didn't. I don't have a choice. She needed leverage and Jacinda promised results. But when the deal was finalized, Britt felt the ground shift beneath her. Jacinda collected faster than Britt had anticipated. Within hours, she was making moves and contacting people she shouldn't. Britt would not have known her name if she hadn't orchestrated a chain reaction. Fully accounted for. Meanwhile, Brennan was becoming restless. He'd been circling Lulu for weeks, attempting to corner her into submission, convinced he had control over her next move. But Lulu was more intelligent than he gave her credit for.